Hi there, I'm John from CNCRI.com, and today we make these custom UV printer jigs. Now through the years I've made a lot of custom UV printer jigs, and generally what happens is they're generally small. Most people have little entry level machines, so they need something that's say 12 by 24 or even 8 by 4 or something relatively small. In this case here, they're rather large. As you can tell, this is my hand. So the reason why they need such large jigs is because what they're printing onto these things is rather large as well. So the jig is proportional to what you're printing. If you're doing little hard drives and golf balls, you don't need a jig this large because it just doesn't make sense. In this case here for the customer, they also have a very powerful vacuum system. So that's why we're able to get away with such large jigs using MDF. Because what happens with MDF, and most other materials, but especially MDF, is that because it has no grain or anything like that, it has no sort of superstructure. So technically speaking, it should keep its shape. But what happens is we're clearing out the top part of it and we're doing nothing on the bottom side. And because of that, it wants to sort of start to curl up a little bit. So that's where having a powerful vacuum system is great, because the vacuum system will suck it right back down. When it comes to routing, there's a certain order you want to have things in, and that is basically what you want to do is slowly work your way through the board until the finished product, and then you cut it out. The reason for that is because you want to make sure you have accuracy and dimensional stability when you're doing this. Now I have a very powerful vacuum system on this, so it's going to hold it down regardless. Even then, I still follow those processes as if I didn't have one. Because when I first started CNC routering, I just had a small, 24 by 24 inch table and no tool changer and no vacuum. So then I would screw everything down at certain positions and then from there do the cutting. Now I can get away with a lot more here because of the machine and all the other sort of things that it has. But you still have to follow a certain methodical process, because it also allows you to double check the depth that you're going at, the width of certain things. So although this video is really sped up a lot, I am coming over there and I'm using my digital calipers to make sure everything sort of makes sense to what is supposed to be cut. Because for this here, there's a little bit of give on the tolerance, but not too much, because the customer is actually putting their metal objects on top of this with the magnets underneath holding it there for their UV printing process. So I gotta make sure I got certain heights correct, because otherwise their magnets won't fit properly and therefore the UV printing process won't work with this jig that I'm making here. Now, if these jigs were any bigger than they are right here, generally what we do is we break them up as puzzle pieces. I've shown other videos of that on CNCRI.com. The nice thing about the puzzle piece approach is that one, you end up with smaller pieces that go together, so you end up with less warping. It helps with the vacuum system because you don't have such a large area to sort of suck down. You just have a lot of little areas. And again, they start off or they stay relatively flat when they're smaller. When they get larger, that's when you start having, the surface tension where the top is cleared out basically, the bottom is not, and because of that, again, it just wants to warp on you. Now, the nice thing about doing a puzzle system as well is they can have different pieces. So you can mix and match depending on your production cycle. Now, for these ones here, if they're any bit larger, definitely a puzzle, or we'd move to another material, probably HDPE, Delrin, or even aluminum. But you got to keep in mind with aluminum, you also have the warping. So there's no perfect material out there that stays absolutely flat forever. And generally with aluminum, because it's a lot more strong, it's stronger, it has a stronger pull to it. Because of that, most vacuum systems just aren't able to pull it down. So that's when you move to mechanical hold downs, either clamps or screws or what have you. So regardless of the size of the UV printer jig you need us to make for you or the material, we can make them for you and ship them right to your door.